question is, do meat eaters deserve to die? Seriously? Is this actually a question? Are we actually asking this? And who the hell is any vegan to say that all meat eaters should just straight up die? I have a problem with this kind of idea, and I have a problem with it being spread around the vegan community and having any meat eater now think that vegans are a bunch of crazy Nazis who just want to kill everybody who doesn't live like them. But what does veganism mean? Why does anybody ever go vegan? Well, supposedly veganism is about compassion. So I just want to ask a question here, because clearly there's something I'm not getting. I just do not understand what is compassionate about the thought that anyone who is not vegan, aka other humans, also known as animals, should just die because they don't eat and live the same way as we do. There's a couple reasons I have a problem with this idea. The first reason is that not everyone who eats meat by choice. It is so lovely for those of us who live in first world countries where we can buy organic food and grow our own gardens and literally just walk into a store and pick something off the shelf where it's already fully prepared for us. It is so nice and so privileged for us to be able to pass judgment on people who live in poor countries, countries where they cannot support themselves, countries where they barely have fresh water. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're drinking out of rivers that people are peeing in, shitting in, washing their clothes, dirty laundry. I mean, this is a privileged world opportunity to go vegan. Not everyone has that opportunity. And so do those people just straight up deserve to die? Should they be punished for trying to get by and trying to support their families? For anyone to say that everyone should die as long as they eat meat and that's the only prerequisite has never been to an impoverished country, has never been to somewhere where the people can barely live, can barely survive with their environment, with their government system. Maybe they're oppressed for various reasons. But that is the first problem I have with this. Not everyone eats meat by choice. I mean, maybe some of them, if they were given a choice, they still would eat it, but maybe some of them wouldn't. See, there's something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Pretty high up on that list is food and water. I'm talking clean, fresh water, clean, fresh food sources. And unless someone has their basic needs met, you cannot come at them and try to preach animal rights or veganism, or anything else for that matter. You can never expect anyone who can't get by living, okay, even just providing for their family, you cannot expect them to care about anything else beyond food, water, and shelter. The second problem I have with the concept that everyone should just die if they eat meat is that, were you born vegan? Was I born vegan? No, not everyone is privileged enough to be born into a vegan family. That is so amazing. If any of you have the opportunity to be raised as a vegan, wow, that is incredible. I actually don't know anybody who was raised as a vegan. With that being said, it would seem that most of us took a little time to figure out what on earth was going on in terms of animal abuse, and maybe it took us time to develop compassion and the ability to care for animals. I mean, not everyone can figure it out right from the get-go. I'm gonna give you an example here. When I was a child, I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was up at my cottage in Northern Ontario. My dad killed a fish. Okay, we had gone fishing so many times. I had been out in the boat practically since I was a baby. But this was the first time that I actually saw someone kill a fish. Before that, there had been no correlation in my mind of the food on your plate actually comes from a living animal. I just didn't make that connection as a child. And then I saw him bash in a fish head. And I was devastated. I started crying, I started screaming, and I said, what on earth are you doing? And he told me, this is the process. This is how we get food, from the lake to our table. This is what happens. And after I saw that, I was completely devastated. And I said, I'm never eating fish ever again for the rest of my life. And I made that connection at an early age. And not only did I actually never eat fish again, but it became my passion to defend fish, to defend dolphins and whales and sea creatures. That's where it came from. That's where my life's purpose came from. But still, I never made any other kind of connection thinking, okay, that's how chickens are killed or pigs or cows. And I still went on to eat these creatures, never even giving it a second thought until I was 18 years old. So how do we ever know when someone is going to wake up, essentially, or if they're ever going to? Should we just never give them the chance to wake up? Should we never give them the opportunity to embrace a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle? and just condemn them from the day they're born simply because they eat meat? It doesn't really sound all that realistic to me. And I personally recently seen a family member in his mid-50s. He came from a hunting background. We never agreed on diet, we never talked about it because obviously I'm very against hunting. And he kind of mocked my vegan diet, he thought it was kind of silly. And lo and behold, in his mid-50s, he went vegan. So, I mean, that's a hunter going vegan. You just never know. I think anyways, when someone could embrace a compassionate lifestyle. And if people are never given the chance, then how can they ever choose that lifestyle? I'm not saying that kind of approach would turn everyone off from a vegan lifestyle, but you gotta think, okay, how do you win friends? How do you influence people? How do you woo people over? Usually not through violence and telling them nasty things about themselves, or blaming or guilt. For me, at least, it's leading by example. And I understand there are a vast range of approaches in activism and in the vegan community as a whole. And I think that's essential. I think we all have to have different approaches because we're not all the same. I mean, some of the approaches that I have with my work with Sea Shepherd, a lot of people don't agree with and say it's too extreme. But at the same time, while I think different approaches are essential in the movement and in any kind of activism movement, I also think it's equally as important that we try to extend compassion to all creatures, even when we're feeling angry. I mean, I know it's not easy, but you've got to try. That's what I think anyways, that's my opinion on it. I also think the question is kind of redundant because it's not like we have an option as vegans to just press a button and evaporate all meat eaters. So I think that the question doesn't really even need to be asked. But at the same time, I wanted to share my opinion on it because I think it's total nonsense. I mean, what are we gonna do? Just condemn our friends or family, practically everyone we know, to death simply because they haven't seen the light yet or they haven't embraced our lifestyle? Maybe. I'm just gonna say maybe. It's not the most realistic approach. I don't know, things might work better, like sharing your food with people or being open to their questions, or I don't know, trying to lead through example, or, you know, making it a video that they can watch about the vegan lifestyle that is approachable and maybe will help them to embrace the lifestyle. Those are just my thoughts, so maybe you don't agree. That's cool. If you don't agree, or if you do agree, whatever, give this video a thumbs up because we should be talking about this issue either way. And I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this topic. Obviously, it's a controversial one. I'm not trying to start any more controversy, but it's a valid discussion and I think we need to talk about it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, that's cool. We can have different perspectives, different ideas, different opinions. But if you want more of my perspective, subscribe to 40BelowFruity. And if you want to see more about raw food and what I'm doing with it, you can go to 40BelowFruity.com and rawlifestyleacademy.com. And that's about it. I will see you guys in the next video.